Hello, Westside Christian family. Pastor Doug here. If I could just add to this past Sunday's message, the faithful in Christ, a couple of things that I would have liked to have thrown in there. I would have liked to do more work with the languages. I did look into the languages that week, preparing that message. Just don't have enough time to get into all those details in a typical sermon. Don't know how much people really are interested. I could get into the way that our English Bibles translate things, which, you know, there's some discussion to be had there. I'm always afraid that I'm going to make people think the Bible's untrustworthy. The English translations are untrustworthy. So there's so many things that I could have gone into with the original languages. But I also would have liked to have spent some more time with that final part. You know, I asked the question, who do you want to be, which is different from what do you want to be. I gave you the little pearls before swine comic strip with Pig, who said his goal was to get as many hugs as is possible before he has to retire. He's not thinking about his 401k, he's thinking about relationships. I'm not sure that I brought it home as well as it should have been. You know, what I was trying to say was, it's not just a matter of doing something as much as it's a matter of being something. It's not a matter of accumulating gold and silver coins, which is how the world does it, as it is simply being a person, entering into a relationship, which is what God is really looking for there. So I don't know if I made that clear. I don't know if I made it clear that being beautiful, being intelligent, being successful, being powerful is qualitatively different from being faithful. But if I could go back, if I had it to do over again, if I had 5 more minutes, that's what I would have parked on a little bit. That what God is looking for is not just different traits, different qualities, different characteristics, different actions. He's looking for a different person. He's looking for a different outlook. He's got a whole, some people call it the economy of God. I never dug that phrase, but I understand why they like it. He's got a whole different economy. The things that are valuable to him are not just different from, but they are in an entirely different class from the things that are valuable to the world. And when you make that switch then, when you make the switch from the what to the who, when you make the switch from, you know, trying to obey, which is typically how I think I was taught. I certainly was raised to believe this is how you do it. You try to obey. When we move from trying to obey to being a faithful person, it's not just different, it is superior. A person who's faithful will do all the things that a person who's obedient is doing, unless the obedient person has, you know, hey, God only wants us to use the New English Standard Version, so I'm doing, you know, other than something, you know, silly like that. The faithful person will do everything that the obedient person is doing, but they will do it better. So I think just that phrase, the faithful in Christ, communicates that idea. But if you want it more expressly stated, you then go to Romans 8. Romans 7 and 8 are complex. They're largely misunderstood. But Romans 7 is where Paul says, what I hate, I do. What I want to do, I don't do. A lot of people have looked and say, yep, that's the way it is for all of us. You know, we don't want to sin, but we're weak, and so we sin. That's not exactly what he's saying. What he's saying is, this is what it's like when you live by law. This is what it's like when you're just trying to obey, when you're just trying to get, you know, the goal. In the Christian sphere in which I was raised, obedience would have been the gold coin, not appearance or beauty. When you're just trying to get the gold coin to please God of obedience, that's what it's like. You find yourself, I'm doing things I don't want to do. I'm not doing things I want to do. You move into chapter 8 where there's a shift. He says, but now we're sons. And we have the Spirit of God in us who is leading us. When you shift from, I'm trying on my own power to be obedient and earn that gold coin, I'm trying to be what? Obedient, having that quality, and you move to who? I'm a son of God led by the Spirit of God. Paul says then the obedience just comes naturally. When you start seeing things God's way, you know, one of the things that I mentioned was language. Not something that we talk about a lot in the church today. We used to talk about it a lot when I was growing up. But God has said, I want you to speak in circle. I don't want obscene things to come out of your mouth. Ephesians chapter 5. When you are a son and you're led by the Spirit of God and you agree and you say, yep, that's right, it makes sense to me, you fall naturally into that. So you're not only obeying, you're obeying from a higher reasoning. You're going to find a better result. You're no longer in the Romans 7. What I hate, I do. What I want to do, I don't do. Now you're in the Romans 8. I'm a son of God or a daughter of God, if you prefer, led by the Spirit of God. So to be faithful in Christ to a lot of people is going to look like less than the gold coin of being obedient, of being a law keeper, of having rules and regulations that you never bend to. But it's actually far superior. Being a faithful person lives better, turns out better, is better than trying to have some gold or silver coin, even if it's obedience. That's what I would have added. Hope that makes a lot of sense. Thank you for giving me some time here, and I look forward to seeing you again very soon.